Live from the East Memphis studios of KWAM, this is the Earle Farrell from Memphis Show. From humble beginnings in Odessa, Texas, he's been all over the Western Hemisphere, a radio and TV veteran, former restaurateur, and one-time male model. He's Earle Farrell, and he calls Memphis his home. This is the Earle Farrell from Memphis Show. And now, here's your host, Earle Farrell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back as we continue to focus on Bartlett. We've got Southwest Community College here, the head honchos. We got the president, Dr. Tracy Hall, and vice president, Anita Brackin. She's also the executive director of communications, marketing, and community relations. Vice president is much shorter to say. Welcome to the shows, ladies.
It's a promotion. It's a promotion.
It is.
That's right.
Southwest Community College is, and it's really a big part of Bartlett, because one thing I know, we had somebody on last year, and they were talking about how they've worked with so many of the industries that are in Bartlett. Right. Said, what do you need from us to train people for you? That's right. Which is, you're seeing more and more of that in the country, because I mean, what good is it to get a degree of any kind if nobody's looking for that person with that talent? Absolutely,
and that's exactly what we're focusing on at the college when we're looking at social mobility and preparing students to increase their wage and their standard of living. We want them to earn credentials. We want them to earn degrees and certificates. But what good is it, as you just said, if nobody's looking for it and we're not preparing them for what the world of work needs? And so we have to remain relevant and stay connected to business and industry to make sure we know what we need to teach so the students are prepared. And really, with today, so many students go into such debt by going to a 4-year program. We go to a 2-year associate degree. It's less expensive. Plus, instead of going away, maybe they can live at home. Or even if they have other jobs, they can still work those. Absolutely. And we have, with the state having the Tennessee Promise, kids coming out of high school can have a last dollar scholarship. And so that removes that financial barrier to the education. We have Tennessee Reconnect for the older students, being 24 or older and a year residents of Tennessee. Again, it's a last dollar scholarship to help them complete their education. And so the idea is to graduate, but not just graduate and have the piece of paper. That's not good enough. You have to have a credential that matters and that will allow you to increase your standard of and quality of living for your family. But you also don't want to graduate with a lot of debt. And so we think that Tennessee Promise and Tennessee Reconnect are absolutely excellent ways to have students get their credential, have a meaningful degree, and not have debt when they leave. Anita, how do you contact the businesses in Bartlett? Do they come to you and say, I mean, how does that arrangement? Because you do have to have a lot of communication with them to find out what it is they're looking for. Right, absolutely, Earle. So we have several ways that we reach out to the companies. We've got some very active councils that are tied around the different industry sectors. And of course, in Bartlett, you have the Greater Memphis Medical Device Council, which has been a great resource to the college because they provide us feedback, what they need for their employees to know, their present and their future employees. And then that tells us what are the programs that we need to be offering, what are the customized training programs, what are the degree programs, what type of equipment do we need, what type of instructors do we need who have the credentials to teach these courses. So industry feedback is very important to us. And again, Bartlett has been a great community for us to work with so closely with the companies. And then, of course, we work throughout the city with a number of different companies and sectors, steel fabrication, process control, different companies like that, different sectors, and making our programs, as Dr. Hall says, relevant to those communities. Absolutely. Do you go to down to the high school level, too? And because even the courses they take in high school can be geared toward where they want to end up with jobs. Absolutely, we do. So we work across the spectrum. So K through 12, preparing students. So when we have students come to us, they're already 18 years old or older. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of work either has been or has not been done at the high school level in preparation. So it's important that we have those strong partnerships with our high school partners to talk about what we need at the high school, at the college level, but also to start to build some of those skills and some of those early work ethic skills as well, so that when they come to us, we're not starting from scratch.
I know in the past we've had people on from Smith and Nephew, sophomore Danik, Wright Medical, and what they're saying is there's some of these kids that graduate with associate degree from you guys end up coming out and making like $100,000 a year, and you go to these other people going getting a master's degree and they can't find a job. So, but it really is tailoring people to jobs that are available that exist right here, right now.
That's right. That's right. And I think putting, and Anita can talk more about the workforce development piece of it, but putting, helping students to see their options. And that for those students that want to go on to a bachelor's degree, we do offer those transfer programs. And so there are some programs and some degrees and some professions for which a 4-year degree is necessary. But that's not all.
Sure.
And so we have to inform students and their parents and guidance counselors about us, because I think when you have maybe high school professionals, guidance counselor professionals that are familiar with 4-year because they've gone, and so when they're talking to the students, they're talking about what they know. So we have to talk about, yes, bachelor's degrees are an option, but we have options that can get students to work now, sooner, and they can make really good money. You do not need a bachelor's degree unless you want it, but you don't need it to make good money.
And they can always come back and go back to college after they get a job, which having money coming in is huge. Ask any college student. If I don't starve to death, I'm going to graduate and get a job.
Absolutely.
The curriculum that you have for them, is it also? Do you tell them that these are the opportunities you have, or is there criteria in the high schools? Do you go in and do they test for their aptitude for certain things?
Yes. Okay, Anita.
So we have a great relationship with a number of the high schools. What we're seeing is they're coming to us wanting to know, what are the skills that we can be introducing our students to. Mm-hmm. And in the fields that we talked about with medical device, we bring them through, we show them the equipment, we kind of share with them what this type of field will lead you to, what are the companies looking for, what are the courses you should be taking in high school that would lead you to this type of career. And in some ways, it's just, it's your basic, your math. A lot of the programs would have some measurement in it, and of course, your English and your reading. But, these companies will take these students and they start with us, and they potentially could get a part-time job at a company making a very good part-time wage while they're enrolled at Southwest. The apprenticeship model, and
Sure.
We're using that word a lot now.
That's right.
Well, I know that I know guys head of manufacturing, and so a lot of these kids are coming out with experience in machine shop manufacturing, because they're making precision instruments, and that's where the math and the measurements and that kind of thing comes in, because you can't go, well, it's sort of close. I mean, it's
Right.
very exacting.
That's right.
But that's all. It's gearing that toward what actual jobs really exist out there, which I think should be done more and more. Because I remember when I was coming out, there were so many people that were going and getting MBAs to go do leverage buyouts, and then they bought everything, and there was nothing left to buy, and so those people are wandering around with the MBA driving an Uber cab because they can't get a job. They're overqualified.
Yeah. And I think it's about exposure. So when you think about those career fields that people hear a lot about, MBA, business administration, those are wonderful professions. And you think about some of the lawyer, doctor, nurse, all of those are programs for which we can prepare you for as well. But there are those manufacturing types of jobs that we don't necessarily expose students to. Mm-hmm. So they haven't grown up knowing that they exist, and what that means. And so when you expose them to that, and then show them that it's not the same as what they may have in their mind. They think maybe dirt, and they're not going to be able to be professional, and they go into these manufacturing plants, and they're spotless.
There's no dirt. I can
Absolutely.
promise you that. This is a very sterile environment.
That's right, but they don't know that, and so they have to be exposed, and
Yeah.
they have to see that this is a viable career. It's a professional career.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it pays well.
And even if they're not living in Bartlett, but they want to come to your institution, how do they get in touch with y'all, and how do they come and start getting exposed if they don't have to go to a Bartlett school to be involved with this program?
Well, we have our website, which is www.southwest.tn.edu, or they can call us. Our phone number is area code 901-333-5000. And we also are on social media, and our social media handles are at Southwest Tennessee, and that's our Facebook, and we're on Twitter. So we are
very
everywhere.
available.
We're very available.
It sounds like you're on the right track, and you get a lot of other people on the right track too, and that's what it's really about. And not just giving them the sheepskin, but actually having something they can take somewhere and actually make a living at, and a good living.
Absolutely.
President Tracy Hall, thank you for coming in, and Anita Brackin, thank you both for coming in and telling us what you guys are doing, and hopefully give some people out there some ideas that are helping guiding young people, because usually young people aren't listening to this, but their uncles, aunts, and
Absolutely.
mothers. I heard on the radio today
That's
that
right.
you could get a job as an intern in college.
That's right.
Maybe have a job waiting for you when you graduate.
Absolutely. So. We appreciate being here, and moms and dads, bring your kids.
Well, this is good news, and I like to share good news.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're going to take a break, and then we'll be right back. Stay with us.